Let's get the lowdown on this from Sanjay Kapoor, the chairman of Micromax. He's a former Bharti Airtel CEO. Mr. Kapoor, thanks much for joining. Do you think this is an eminently sensible partnership? Kotak buying a 19% stake in Bharti Airtel's mobile arm.
Absolutely. I think when this policy was out a little while back that joint ventures could be made with banks, I had very openly said that I think this could actually bring in some new collaborations going forward. Even when the licensing was limited to having business correspondent type relationships, you would have seen at that stage also there were strategic alliances without any monetary participation between telcos and banks. And that time it was more for the KYC reasons. And also that you have knowledge that comes to you from the other side. But now, as you enumerated and explained, there are a lot more synergies that come together between the two. I think they complement each other fairly well. And one point that probably you did not cover was that every retail banker would have a lot of customers at the lower end who would be unprofitable. You know, they could get a vent by this because they could be transferred to, such like services. And also, for banks, it's complementary and, enriching because once you enroll a customer for a payment bank, then any services that the payment bank cannot offer can be passed on to the main bank, right? So I think both of them do some business development for each other as well, which is a positive.
Okay.
While I say all this, I still strongly believe that the fundamentals around commercials and economic viability of a payments bank is yet to be seen and tested. And that's going to get governed a lot by the transaction money that the payments bank will charge and the number of transactions that happen. And that is yet to be tested. So, I'm not too sure how early, how much will it take for these relationships to yield profitability.
No, I completely take your point. You put your finger on it. For banks, especially after Jan Dhan, they're all awakened to the fact that a lot of small accounts, probably no balance accounts, are actually a cost. And this cost will be greatly reduced if it is being done through and in collaboration with a mobile company. That will make transaction easier and make it more profitable to maintain such accounts, to maintain such small accounts. They are otherwise a drain on the banking system, no doubt. But Mr. Kapoor, if you were heading a payments bank, what would you outsource to a bank?
I think all those things that you said, I think all treasury-related matters would be outsourced. I think KYC is understood by banks a lot better. Many banks would already have platforms which are technology platforms ready, although some of the telcos have built technology platforms as well over time.
Okay.
Whether it's M-Pesa or Airtel Money, I think all these, platforms have been created now from an IT perspective as well. So I think there's lots, but what the telcos bring to the party is very clear. I think telcos bring a capability of managing scale, a reach which no bank would have, especially by virtue of the retail outlets, which are more than 1.5 million for large telecom companies. And above all, I think their ability to bring the cost of transaction down to a fraction.
Okay.
Because they work at 1 paisa per second, and those like denominations, I think they have understood the cost of a transaction better than any bank would understand, and I think they bring that to the party. But like I said, with small banks coming in, with Jan Dhan coming in, with payments bank coming in, obviously this is going to now stir up a lot of competition at that level as well.
Yes.
And let's see how the transactions and the service really pans out in a fashion where there's enough for these banking systems to sustain themselves economically.
No, I'm inclined to believe that the competition at that level will be won hands down by the telcos rather than by the banks, for the reasons that you said. They have access to a certain hinterland of India, which the banks have not been able to even dip into. But it says that Kotak will buy a 19.9% stake. Do you think, in all probability, that participation will come more by way of personnel? That a part of the cost will be borne by Kotak by just sending their personnel to man certain tasks?
Yes, I mean there will be some intellectual, participation as well, and financial, because they own 19.9% of the stake. But I think it cannot be restricted just to people.
Okay.
I think their platforms, their know-how, everything will come into play. It's from a financial services perspective, it's a play that banks understand better.
Yeah.
From a distribution and reach perspective, it's telcos who understand.
Mr. Kapoor, from the start you have been saying that this is a cost for the telcos, and the jury is still out on whether it will give returns. So is it also sensible for the telco that part of the cost, and in this case 20%, is being borne by a bank?
Yes, it is. And tomorrow bank could share some of the business that comes out because this customer has been inducted by the telco. Right? And there could be a sharing on that as well.
Okay.
Right?
Making the whole thing more viable for the telco.
Absolutely. Okay. Ultimately, the sustainability of this model is going to come when it's sustainable standalone. Because if it's a win for the bank and not for the telco or vice versa, it's not going to work.
Absolutely.
But just one thing that I wish to add is that you mustn't also forget that telcos are not doing this because they like to be financial institutions.
Yes.
They're doing it because they want to bring in more stickiness with their customers. So telco has an advantage that if tomorrow the churn falls down, then telco has a disproportionate gain in a surrogate fashion out of this business, which the bank will not have.
Fair point. Mr. Kapoor, just stay on for a minute. I have Mahesh Uppal, the telecom analyst and director of Com1st India, joining in. Mahesh, what's your sense? Is this something which both parties get equal gains, or will there be some kind of disproportionate gains for the bank?
No, I believe both sides will stand to gain. I do believe that it enables, obviously banks are going into territory which is by and large familiar. And the telcos clearly have not that much of a depth in the banking business, but clearly what they want to do, as your colleague was also mentioning, is to leverage their reach and scale. I mean, that enables them to reach parts that banks can't reach at a scale that banks cannot match. So clearly, it is something that the telcos, particularly given their ARPUs currently, would be very keen to ensure that they could add value, if you like, or actually extend the profitability of their operations.
Okay.
So I believe there is something in it for both sides.
Okay. You expect more such marriages? Other telcos will also look for other banks?
Yes, I do. I do expect that.
You're probably already in the know?
No, I won't claim to, but certainly I would imagine especially the incumbent telcos and probably even the others would be loath to give up this opportunity.
Okay.
I do believe that they will all want to do their own deals with other banks.
Mr. Kapoor, this proposition comes at a time when telcos are bent with a huge burden of debt. The spectrum auctions are going to squeeze even more out of their pockets. Will this be an experiment which they will get into, and if it's not viable, they will actually abandon?
I hope it's not like that.
I do hope too, but is there a chance?
This time round, the experiment will be a little more expensive if that happens, because you're right. I mean, the telcos are inundated with a lot of things, including transformation to data, improving the quality of their networks, dealing with the financial hazards created by the dear auctions. which are most likely going to happen in first week of March. And given all this, will they have bandwidth to deal with a business which is grossly different from what they are used to? Yes, some of them have done well in the first phase, or at least built up some scale with concepts like M-Pesa, Airtel Money, and all that. But now this is a different ball game where you're going to be governed by the financial regulator. You need to perform in a fashion as a standalone business, and bear the compliance of a financial regulator as well.
Yes.
So I think it's a different ball game, and I hope the experiment doesn't turn out to be very dear. Will this take away energies from the telcos, and do they have the bandwidth and capability to deal with it in isolation? We will all see that.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Kapoor and Mahesh Uppal, for joining me in this conversation.